One benefit of active listening is that interviewers can take notes while the applicant is talking without losing track of what's being said. Thanks to thought speed, you can write down key words and ideas during the interview, then immediately after develop your notes more fully. Doing this right away will ensure that you retain important facts. Let's take a look at this process. Some interviewers believe that note-taking will offend applicants and make them uneasy. If you feel this way, tell the applicant at the beginning of the interview that you'll be taking some notes to make certain you have sufficient information upon which to base an effective hiring decision. Most applicants actually prefer that you take notes. After all, there are usually a number of applicants competing for one job. How can the interviewer differentiate among all the applicants without notes? In fact, not taking notes could convey a lack of interest on the part of the interviewer. Interview notes are a permanent record and should be written with care. Most interviewers favor a separate interview evaluation over a blank piece of paper. There are numerous variations as to the categories that should appear on the evaluation form and the terminology used over competencies in the application process. When documenting the interview, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, avoid subjective language. Avoiding subjective language, even if complimentary, is an important requirement of effective post-interview documentation. Stated in another way, all language that is written down should be objective. For example, saying that an applicant is attractive is a subjective statement. On the other hand, writing that the applicant's appearance is consistent with the employee image sought by the company would be objective. As you can see from this example, objective language generally takes longer to write and requires greater effort. It's easier to say that someone's attractive than it is to write the objective version of the same thought. However, the term attractive may not mean the same to one person as it does another. Hence, it would not be useful for future interviewers reviewing your notes. In addition, it could create an issue pertaining to EEO investigations and compliance. Number 2, avoid recording unsubstantiated opinions. Interviewers are cautioned against recording their opinions without sufficient job-related backup. Opinions that stand alone without concrete support imply that the interview has drawn some conclusions, but not identified information that these conclusions are based on. These statements generally begin with such telling phrases as "I feel," "in my opinion," "I believe," or "it is apparent to me that." And number 3, job-related facts. Documenting job-related facts best enable interviewers to assess job suitability, compare the qualifications of several applicants, measure the applicant for future job matches, and preclude the possibility of EEO violation. This requires interviewers to refer to job-related facts only. This is a simple process, especially if job documents are well written and if you've practiced active listening techniques throughout the interview. As soon after the interview as possible, refer directly to each job duty and requirement of the position and then indicate whether or not the applicant has the necessary skills and experience. In addition, you might want to record direct quotes made by the applicant in your notes. Finally, consider recording direct quotes. Directly quoting the applicant is of particular significance when an applicant possesses all of the concrete requirements of the job but is lacking some intangible, non-concrete quality. For example, you're about 3/4 of the way through the interview, and even though the applicant can clearly handle the duties of the job, you are uneasy about her attitude concerning a number of tasks. Since recording that the applicant has a bad attitude would be subjective, you continue to probe until either resolve or confirm your sense of unease by discovering some job-related reason for rejecting her. Effective documentation requires adhering to a set of simple, yet critically important guidelines. Let's take a look. Number 1, take notes using an interview evaluation form. Do not write on an application form. The application is a legal document and should bear the handwriting of the applicant only. Number 2, write only keywords or phrases during the interview. Elaborate immediately afterwards. Number 3, refer to the job description to relate accomplishments with specific requirements. Number 4, take notes reflecting positive as well as negative attributes and comments. Number 5, use objective language, avoiding subjective terminology. Number 6, provide concrete support for all opinions. Number 7, record job-related facts. Number 8, Write down portions of specific questions and directly quote applicants' responses. And finally, number 9, use terminology likely to be understood by anyone, never codes that might be misunderstood.